Hey everybody, this is TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing a double review of the Marvel Legends series, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, as well as the Stilt Man series, Miles Morales and Peter B. Parker. We finally have some proper Marvel Legends Into the Spider-Verse figures, which I absolutely love that movie. I'm glad that we have these figures. We have this new series here, which 4 of the 6 figures are from the movie, which is cool. I was only able to find these 2 figures at my local Target. The rest I couldn't find. I have the rest of them pre-ordered though, so hopefully they will eventually come in. I'm very excited for this whole series. So let's go ahead and just take a look at the packaging here. As you can see on the front, you can see both figures in the box as well as the contents that they come with. That backdrop there is kind of like the designs of, if you saw the movie, it kind of looked like a comic book with a bunch of popping dots and whatnot. I don't really know what to describe it, but they have it in the packaging, and on the bottom here it does say Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, as well as Peter B. Parker and Miles Morales, respectively, on both boxes. On this side here, you get really nice artwork of both characters from the movie. It's very nicely done. And then on this side, it's pretty much reversed for both figures. On the top of the packaging, it's the Spider-Verse logo, or at least Miles's spider logo there on the chest. It does say Build a Figure Stilt Man, warnings, and ages 4 and up. On the back here, you have really nice artwork that was on the side of the packagings on the back, and you can see it a little bit better. And then we have 2 different read-ups, so I'm going to let you guys pause when you're ready. This is what Miles' read-up is going to look like, and it's multilingual. And then it's going to be the same case for Peter B. Parker. You can pause that, and it's multilingual right there. It does say Marvel Legends on the top right, and then toward the bottom half it does say Build a Figure Stilt Man. You can see the figure right there of the rest of the series as well. And there's a bunch of different other warnings in different languages. And on the bottom here, I'm going to leave the barcodes in case you need these barcodes for when you're looking for these figures. So let's go ahead and get both figures out of the packaging. So here are both figures out of the packaging, and pretty solid figures. I think they did a really good job capturing the Into the Spider-Verse versions of both characters. I do have a few issues, but they're pretty minor overall. They're pretty solid figures. We're going to start with Miles first, because I was a little bit more excited for this figure, and then we'll get to Peter B. Parker. So Miles doesn't come with too much. He comes with a good amount, I guess. We do have a Build-A-Figure piece. This goes around the torso for Stilt Man, and then we have an alternate head as well as 2 sets of hands overall. We have 2 fists and 2 thwipping hands. So here is the Build-A-Figure piece. Just give you a quick look. I do plan on building Stilt Man. It's a very cool looking Build-A-Figure, and just give you a quick look at this Build-A-Figure piece. It looks pretty alright. Now here is the head sculpt for Miles, and I think it actually looks really good. A few issues, it's just that there's a black splotch in the white of the eye, but it's not super duper noticeable. With the camera's brightness is turned up just a little bit. In person, it's a little bit more noticeable. Overall, I think it looks pretty good. The actual webbing is sculpted on here. The paint, besides that one little speck of black through the white, is pretty clean. As you can see, I'm going to be interchanging the head later. We do have 2 different pegs for this figure. So the peg, when you pop off the head, actually will go with the head that he comes with, the unmasked head, and then we have this one here. So I guess they just decided to give us an additional peg, which I don't dislike. And then we have the hands here. So here's the thwipping hand here. I'm gonna do the detail portion with the other thwipping hand as well as the fist left in there, the other fist left in there. Pretty good. Use web sculpting. The red is a little splotchy on the black. It's molded in black and painted red in certain areas, so the black kind of bleeds through a little bit. But overall, pretty solid amount of accessories. These don't look too bad either. So this head sculpt here is pretty clean. I think it looks a lot like Miles. The only problem is that I've seen this with almost every figure I've seen reviewed, taken photos, of people taking photos of this figure. I've seen a couple of these in the stores. You see this splotch on the head? You see that? This white mark, or this black mark right there on his forehead? That's not supposed to be there, and I've seen that on so many figures. I think that's a factory defect, which is unfortunate. I don't know if rubbing acetone very lightly on there will get rid of it. I have yet to try that, and I don't really know if I want to. But what I can say is that the rest of the figure does look really good in terms of the head sculpt. As you can see, the hair is very nicely sculpted. And I have no idea if they're doing the face printing technology on the eyes, but those are really nicely printed on there as well. Overall, a very clean head sculpt. We even have some sculpting going on in the neck right there. So pretty much any of the webbing is sculpted. You can see right there how they painted the spider logo on his chest. It actually looks really nice, like he actually painted it himself, and there is some detail in the black there. So there's not much paint going on in the webbing, but the detail and sculpting is there. So the rest of the paint in the rest on this figure is, I wouldn't say minimal, but they use it sparingly. I'll say that. Is this supposed to be a pocket here? That is painted on there, and I do think it came out pretty nicely. It's actually sculpted too. You can see the hood is also sculpted. They do have some nice wrinkles for this jacket here. And what they did was we have two different soft pieces. So as you can see, this actually isn't a sweatshirt underneath or sweatshirt vest or whatever you want to call it. It's got some cuts here, so that way these pieces would mesh together pretty well. When you look close enough, you can tell that it's kind of cut off, which could break, the immersion of, clothes underneath clothes. But overall, it's not going to be that big of a problem. You have to look pretty hard in there. The single jointed arms do look kind of ugly, but at the same time, I do think they captured the bagginess of these arms pretty well. And then you can see the hands right here. Pretty much similar sculpting that I was talking about in the detail portion, or the accessory portion, excuse me. The paint on the hands here can be a little splotchy. It's painted in red, and then it's mostly molded in black, of course. But overall, it is good enough. Not much I can complain about here. When we get to the pants, we do have a nice buckle painted right in the center with some silver paint, and even a little bit of paint at the end of the belt there, which that's pretty good, and it is pretty clean. What I don't like, again, is we have some serial printing on the leg. Nice pockets, though, on the back there. Is there sculpting? Yeah, there's a little bit of sculpting, as you can see on the bottom of the jacket there. Those lines, like it's an actual bomber jacket, or just a jacket in general. There's no paint on the, what I forgot to mention is there's no paint on the zipper, but that's okay. It would have been nice, though. We also get some more paint, or not really paint, but we get paint in the feet, of course. But more sculpting is what I meant to say in the legs. The webs there are sculpted. These pants right here, they have a little bit of wrinkles sculpted in there, but there's really no paint. It's just molded in this dark gray. And going up in the legs, you can see it's essentially like a soft plastic piece here. How it's sculpted. So it can rotate up in there, which that's pretty cool. And then we get the shoes. I don't think these are the Nikes he wore, because that would be copyright. But these are some nice red and white sneakers, which have some nice white paint on them, especially on the front here. And towards the bottom of the feet where the soles are. They are also nicely painted. Overall, I don't think there's any problem, except there's maybe a little bit of red right there. And the top of the feet, as you can see, has some nice laces sculpted on there. So I dig these. They did a really good job. If you can take off, you get an extra figure, cut it there, and use these. Figure out how to use these shoes. I think they would work really well. And that's what the bottom of the feet look like, which they really should have put the serial printing on there, just like with a lot of the figures. There's no real detail in the treading, unfortunately, which isn't the biggest problem in the world, but we do have peg holes at the bottom of the feet, which is very cool. So for articulation, it is pretty basic with newer stuff, because we have a dumbbell joint system, so we don't have a hinge here, but it can go up and down, side to side. It's a little loose. It swivels, though. Overall, not super bad articulation. Is there a separate neck joint? I don't think so. Sometimes it looks like his head is going to hunch forward a little bit, but that can easily be fixed. Do we have butterfly joints? I don't believe so, but we do get arm rotation here at the shoulder, so it can go all the way around. It does go in and out. Swivel here at the elbow, as well as a single jointed elbow that does get 90 degrees. For both hands, you get a hinge. You do get a rotation. I do wish we had some open palm hands for web crawling. When you move his abs back right there for the ab crunch, the paint is a little sloppy. It's not super consistent. Of going forward, it's not going to be that big of a problem. We do have this ball joint waist here, so I can go side to side, all the way around. Maybe goes a little bit forward and back even. And then we do have T-joint legs, so they go forward like this, and then back is kind of non-existent, even though the crotch is a hard sculpt, just a heads up. Even though these are soft plastic here for the legs, this crotch piece will get in the way of the back articulation, or going back at least. In and out. The upper thigh swivel is in the pants here where the legs are. And then we do get double jointed knees. Bend at the foot there, which the up is not the greatest. And then an ankle rocker. So as you can see, Peter B. Parker actually comes with a lot more accessories compared to Miles. First of all, starting with the head. I was about to say alternate head. This is the Stiltman head. Looking pretty good. I dig the sculpt overall. Can't wait to build this. We also get the actual alternate head here. And you can see the mask is lifted up. I do wish that we got an alternate head that was actually with the mask, since we have one with Miles, of course. Some people have resorted to using that 4-point articulation figure for the head. It apparently works really well. I wish I was able to get that. I never knew we would get these Marvel Legends and that would be somewhat compatible. I think you had to mod that head a little bit for this figure here. Overall, though, this head looks pretty good. Nice printing for the face, as you can see on there. Nice smirk. And the paint on the eyes right there is pretty clean. Nice wrinkles and stretching, whatever you want to call it, right here on the back. And, as you can see, the webs are sculpted. So that's cool. We get tooth whipping hands here, which are pretty nice. I really want to say these are a unique sculpt. I have not seen these yet. I could be wrong. We could have gotten these plenty of times, but they do look pretty cool. It's just a red sculpt. There's no paint. It's the lines and the webs are sculpted though. You do get 2 fists because he comes packaged with his bare hands. Basically, one hand is just a relaxed hand. The other one is meant for holding the next accessory, which I'll show off. And then again, we have the sculpted lines in there. You have one hand that he comes packaged with because that holds this drink. I do wish we got a burger. That would have been hilarious. So I might be asking for a little too much here, because we already get a ton of accessories with this guy. But nice yellow and blue line. It's just mostly a white sculpt though, and it does have a straw. So that is pretty nice. So let's talk about first this head sculpt. It looks just a lot like it came out of the movie, seriously. I do think that this particular head sculpt is a tiny bit better when it comes to likeness over the Miles one, but both are still pretty good. We do get this subtle, 5 o'clock shadow. I almost messed up the word. The eyes are really nice on here. He has another smirk as well. He might have the same issue with Miles. There is some kind of very faint painted line going over his forehead. I don't know if that is supposed to be there or not. I really don't think it is. But the sculpt on the hair is actually really nice. It's just molded in this brown, which, it could have actual paint, which would be nice. But the actual sculpting of the hair is pretty solid. So overall, it's a very top-notch head sculpt. For those of you wondering if you can just interchange the heads from previous Spider-Man figures, like the comic stuff, this is one of the smallest ball pegs I have ever seen for a Marvel Legends figure. So those are just not, I'm telling you right now, man, they're not going to fit. Anyway, you look in the chest here. You have this very nice sculpted Spider-Man logo right there, as well as the lines. Now, on mine, unfortunately, there is a blue speck, which is sad. And there's some red that is bleeding through in the blue there. But overall, the sculpting is pretty good. It even kind of looks like he's got a little bit of a gut. Not too bad, though. If you're not at all interested in this figure, I would at least pick it up eventually for this coat, because this is a very nice looking coat. The only problem is that this is a pretty slender figure. I mean, yeah, he's a bit of a pot belly in the movie, but the overall, art style is more slender. So I don't know if this is going to work with normal Marvel Legends, if you put it over a body, it depends. But this is a very nice looking coat. It has actually really nice painted buttons and a zipper, and the green on here isn't painted. It's molded and it's a soft plastic, but the sculpting overall is pretty nice. And where there is paint, again, like the pouches right there, the buttons are, it is pretty solid. Just giving you a closer look at how that looks, because man, it is just, it's pretty clean. It could be a lot messier like it sometimes used to be many years ago, but it's overall pretty solid. And then something's going on with this joint. It looks like a different color here in the elbow over the rest of the arms, or the upper and lower arm. So this is what his relaxed hand looks like. And then this is the hand for holding the, this thing almost fell, holding the milkshake, or, whatever the drink is. You have the sweatpants here. I totally relate. I always wear sweatpants. So, yeah, that's nice. And it has a little bit of stretching going on. And there's not much other sculpting. There's a little bit more wrinkles, of course. It's just molded in this gray sweatshirt. Or just this gray plastic, really. We do have two different types of shoes for the boots, which is, pretty nice. So I like the laces on the top for both of them. They look really good. And then the paint overall could be a little bit better, but at least there is paint. The gray on here isn't the greatest, but it's fine. That's what the bottom of the feet look like, though. That's what the back of the legs look like. Is there any paint? There is a little bit of some paint. I have no idea if there's a spider logo painted in there. I have to take this off later. Overall, pretty solid when it comes to the detail in the paint. I dig it. So the head for the articulation goes up that far and down that far. I'm going to have to focus there. There we go. Up, down, side to side. It's a little wobbly on mine. So arms go all the way around. I don't believe we have a butterfly joint, unfortunately, but they do go in and out. Upper arm swivel. These were a little stiff, but we do get double jointed elbows. Swivel at the wrist as well as a hinge at the wrist is for both, actually all hands. We do have an actually it's a ball joint for both areas of the abs, or the upper torso. So it's a ball joint here, so it swivels up there, goes side to side, forward and back a little bit. Same thing going on here, a little bit more tighter. So it allows for a big range of motion, even though the coat kind of gets in the way. Legs can go forward and back, sort of, in and out. Upper thigh swivel. We do get double jointed knees, which are a little tight on mine. And then it actually swivels here at the calf, and then up and down for both feet. And then we do get an ankle rocker. So for size comparisons, I have just a couple of figures. I have the new Retro Collection Spider-Man on the right there next to Peter B. Parker, and I have the 2016 Comics Miles Morales there on the left of Miles. So both of these figures, I would say, I mean, they're definitely different styles of figures. We have two comic characters on the far right and left, and then in the middle there are those animated movie characters. The Spider-Man is going to be a little bit shorter than Peter B. Parker, and actually I think both versions of Miles are about the same height. And then I just have these comic and movie versions of some other characters on the right there. That's the movie Venom. On the left, that is the new comic version of Kingpin, and they're both pretty tall compared to both of these figures. So overall, I am very happy with both of these figures, save for a couple minor things, mostly some cosmetic imperfections, which I think is unfortunately going to be common with this line. It's mostly those lines on the forehead. Both of these figures capture the style of the Spider-Verse art style very well. I'm really glad that they chose to make these figures. I'm hoping we get more, especially with Spider-Noir, and hopefully some normal versions of Miles and Peter in the future. Both these figures, as they are right now, are really solid, though, especially Miles. I actually really like the Miles, that style. I really like the outfit where it's mixed with the, it's streetwear mixed with his costume, and I think Peter B. Parker's done really well, too. Both of them aren't perfect, of course. Articulation in both of these figures could be a little bit better, mostly the torso for Peter and the arms for Miles, but both are really great. They both come with a really good amount of accessories. Of course, Peter comes with more than Miles, but still, they both come with some really great stuff. And for $20, it is definitely going to be worth your money, especially if you liked the movie. If you haven't gotten these figures, especially if you haven't gotten a version of Miles yet, I would definitely get this one. The $20, the whole wave is going to be $20 each. And I got these from a Target, but they're going to be available on other retailers, of course. I have some also pre-ordered on Amazon. So that's pretty much it. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Comment down below what you think about the figures, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends, and I will see you guys later.